My name is Ed Thibodo. Born and raised in Stephen, Minnesota. Went to the Stephen school system of lower and middle and high school, and graduated in 1966. 66, I ended up, my dad asked me if I wanted to be a farmer, and I told him I was a poor gambler and chose not to. And that year I moved to California. And we were snowbirds, so we went to California every year. And so that year I didn't come back to Minnesota and started a new life. That new life kind of ended pretty quickly because at the age of 18, I had to register for the draft. And at 18 and a half, I received a draft notice. And on May 6, 1968, I was drafted into the Army. They immediately sent me to Fort Ord, California, for a opportunity to learn how to march, shoot my gun, and follow orders.
Do you still call it a gun?
Weapon. I call it whatever it is nowadays. I have not had a weapon in my hand since I left Minnesota.
I believe back then we had to call it a rifle.
Yeah. What is interesting is I came to California and I went deer hunting one year, and they all drove around the back end of Jeeps and drank beer and whiskey, and I decided that that was not the safest place to deer hunt. So I haven't done any of my hunting that I used to do in Minnesota.
Okay.
So I got drafted, went through basic training, and I did not want to go to Vietnam, and so because at that time it was not a nice place to go to.
So you were in Fort Ord for basic training?
Yes.
What was that like, Ed?
It was a lot of running and marching and exercise and getting us in shape. I think the drill sergeants were a lot nastier back then than they are today. I remember being woke up at 1:30 in the morning and falling out into the yard, and loading us up with rocks and running us for 5 miles. And that was just. And then we came back, and they ended all of our equipment and our foot lockers, and we had to be ready for inspection at 6 a.m. And so there was a lot of deprived sleep and a lot of drills.
Okay, and what sticks out? I mean, you had gas chamber, and did you crawl under machine gun fire, stuff like that?
We did the normal drills. That was normal to me, and that was crawling under Constantine type wire and having the machine guns shoot above us, and flashbangs going off around us, and then going into the gas chamber and removing our gas masks so that we could experience the wonders of tear gas. It was a blur. I mean, I'm 18 and a half years old, and I'm in an environment I never imagined being in.
Right. Okay, so you get through basic training. Where do you go then?
Well, my advanced training was actually at Fort Ord, California also. What happened was I did not want to go to Vietnam, so I put in to be a German interpreter because I'd taken 3 years of German at Stephen High School. And I went in, I passed the test, and became a German interpreter. And so I knew I was going to Germany to drink beer with Frauleins. And the day the orders came out, every one of us went to Vietnam. And when I got to Vietnam, they looked at my MLS and said, "What are you doing here?" And I says, "I don't know. You can send me home right now." And they said, "No, we'll find you something." And the next thing I knew, I got sent to the where was it? It was Corp 2, the 394th 394th Transportation Battalion, I think they were. And
what division were you in?
Huh?
What division were you in? Like 4th Army, 1st Army?
I was in the 129th. Oh boy, I was the 129th Aviation Transportation Company.
Okay.
And what happened was they temporarily assigned me to that because they weren't sure what they were going to do with me, and I fit in just fine as a door gunner.
Where was this at?
It was they sent me to Thuy, Vietnam, which is in the 2nd Corps.
Okay.
And there's an air base there, and there's an Army base there. We were assigned to the Army base at Thuy.
Is that southern, central, northern?
Central. It's
central?
Pretty much central.
Okay.
It's above Cam Ranh Bay and below the Triangle.
Okay.
And so got to Vietnam and got assigned to a helicopter group and learned how to be a door gunner and to assist the co-pilot. In the beginning, it was doing a lot of transporting troops from one base to another, or transporting Green Beret out into the boonies and dropping them off, and
so
they would walk.
So you're a door gunner on a Huey or a...
Yes.
Okay.
UH-1.
All right.
H model, I believe.
So what did that all entail? Were you flown into some pretty hot spots, or?
In the beginning, it wasn't that bad. We were doing normal transportation of troops being relocated to different bases and to the artillery spots, where they put you on a hill and we would
base camps.
Yeah, base camps. That was the word. And we would bring in supplies and drop them off, and then part of the results of TET was the need for more aviation to support the ground troops, and so we started doing more of the supporting the infantry and dropping them off in landing zones.
Okay. So how many grunts would you get in a Huey helicopter?
About 6.
6?
Yeah.
Okay, so small platoon.
Yeah.
Okay, and you would go to an LZ, drop them off, and
we would take them into the LZ. My job was to provide cover fire into the brush and whatever, drop them off. It was like we barely even touched the ground, and we were off. The worst part was going in to drop off supplies and pick up the wounded. And I think the Army taught me how to march, and they taught me how to use my gun. They taught me how to follow orders, but they didn't teach me how to watch somebody die.
Right.
And that happened in my helicopter on the way back to medevac.
So you'd pick up these wounded soldiers, and they'd be in there. Was there medical personnel with them?
No, we were. That was not our job. We were not part of the medevac, but because of necessity, sometimes we ended up being a medevac, and so me and the crew chief were all they had.
Okay. Yeah, it was a tough time.
But I'm shaking it. I'm shaking inside talking about that.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Ed, but it's some questions that, guys like to hear about. So, did you have any other duties while you were there? And you were there during TET, so you were there during the worst time of the war.
And that's when my helicopter position became a little more intense. It was because of TET. Prior to TET, we were pretty, easy runs. So after TET, we made those runs. My helicopters that I was on, we had 3 shoot downs. First one, we were on the ground. We were dropping people off, and we took a rifle shell or something in the crankcase of the helicopter, and it started sounding like a washing machine. We all bailed out, got another helicopter and left. The second one was pretty much the same way. The third one, I don't know what happened. I know that I think the pilot got hit, and we were going down. It could, the helicopter started to go out of control, and then when we got to the closest to the ground, I was going to jump because I've seen helicopters burn, and I didn't want to burn. And but my reflexes were slow, and I really just got thrown out of the helicopter when it hit. When I came to, which was probably a minute or two, I started backing away from the helicopter. I heard the Viet Cong. I got myself as far away from the helicopter as I could in the race paddy, and I laid there. And I ended up spending the night in the jungles of Vietnam, and the next day I was rescued. And when those guys came in, they had air support that kind of blew up the area around it. And when they picked me up, I mean, they came to pick me up, and I was a crying baby almost. It was like I didn't realize how good it felt to be, rescued.
Rescued. How about the rest of the crew? Were they?
The pilot, the co-pilot, and the door gunner were all killed in action.
They were killed on that accident?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And the third one?
That was the last one.
That was the last one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And shortly after that, I got transferred to the 119th Transportation Group, which was in Vung Ro Bay, which is about 10 miles away from Tui Wa. And we were responsible for the loading and offloading of the Liberty-class ships. We would bring in all the ammunition and all the PX supplies. And my mission was to support that. I became a stevedore by sense. I offloaded the ships. I was a winch operator by day, and went out to the guard posts at night.
Okay, and how long were you with the helicopter? How long were you door gunner?
About 5 months.
5 months, and after the last crash, you went on to something else.
Yeah, I actually asked for a transfer.
Okay.
And since I was temporary, they actually allowed it.
Well, that's good. I mean, it sounds like you did enough of that anyway. So how long were you doing this other job?
Well, I did the other job for 7 months because I did it to the end of my tour. And so we offloaded what I call beers and bombs. We offloaded a lot of beer for the PX and a lot of bombs for the Tui Wa Air Force Base.
Okay, and is there a port there? Was there a port where ships come in?
There's a Vung Ro Bay at that time was a Army developed port. It was a deep harbor port that they could bring a ship into and offload. Now they're turning it into a French resort.
Okay. Have you gone back?
I actually went back to Vietnam 3 years ago.
Oh, you did,
Or
huh?
2 years ago.
How was that experience?
No, 3 years ago. Pandemic kind of pissed me off. But yeah, I went back to Vietnam 3 years ago. Went into Saigon and got to go around Saigon because I'd spent some time in Saigon and saw the differences. And then I actually went to Tui Wa and spent a week in Tui Wa and rented a motorcycle and went down to Vung Ro Bay, and looked around. Then I took the motorcycle out to one of the landing zones and I parked it and laid in the grass and listened to the sound of birds.
So I'm guessing it's changed quite a bit.
The countryside hadn't changed that much, but Saigon and even Tui Wa had changed a lot.
Okay.
More industrial, more built up.
So the countryside was rice paddies and still looked like they were back in the Stone Age?
The right around Tui Wa, it was more of the hilly sides, and then over what we called Monkey Mountain were all the rice paddies.
Okay.
So we had a range of land.
Okay. So where'd you fly out of when you left Vietnam?
When I had 7 days left in duty, they transferred me down to Cam Ranh Bay, and some nice guy came in and stole all my cameras and all of that stuff, and so things that I had saved for going home with, pretty much lost it.
All gone. Yeah, it sucked.
And I guess that was a normal thing.
Yeah, there were some low lives, that's for sure. So you get on the Freedom Bird?
I got on the Freedom Bird. I flew back to...
what was that like when it left the ground?
I remember the stewardess just being wonderful. Hadn't seen too many round-eyed, blue-eyed girls, and they treated us wonderfully. And
but when you left the ground, was it everybody kind of hoop and holler? Or?
Yeah, we all cheered as we took off. Yeah, we were glad to get out of Vietnam.
Yeah. So, what's some of the stops you did on the way home?
On the way home, I think we went to Hawaii. We went to Hawaii. We didn't even get out of the plane. It was where they did a refuel, and then straight into the Air Force Base up by near San Francisco. I'm trying to think of the name of it. But then they shipped us by bus to a facility near Tracy, California, which was a supply depot. And we all got to shower, shave, put on our brand new uniforms with our medals, our hats, and, looking proud.
Okay.
And then then we took a bus to San Francisco International Airport, going home to see my parents.
So how are you treated? How are you treated in the airports? Did anybody say anything or do anything?
Yeah. I'm in my uniform. I'm feeling proud, and I used to say a bunch of hippies, but really they were just a bunch of anti-war activists. They came running up to me and they threw red Kool-Aid all over me and they called me a baby killer.
Yeah.
And I went into the bathroom. I took my uniform off. I never wore it in public again.
Yeah, it was a bad time. It was not fun coming home for a lot of GIs. It was bad deal.
You know, and so for many years, I didn't feel honored or thanked or anything. And then about 11 years later, I went to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. because I was there on a trip, and I left some flowers for some of my comrades and cried, came home, and I'm pretty damn proud.
Yep. What really helped was 911. Really helped GIs a lot, especially veterans. There was a lot more pride from that, and it helped the Vietnam vets also.
It did, and it's interesting because at first I was jealous.
Yeah. Yeah.
At first I was jealous, and then I was happy that they were getting the recognition they deserved.
Correct. Yep. And it's pretty much carried on since then too. A lot of memorials have been built and a lot of recognition. It's been a good. So, Ed, what did you do after you got out of the service? When did you get out of the service?
I got out of the service May 5th, 1970.
And you were mustered out at?
I was mustered out at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. When I came back from Vietnam, I still had some time left, and so they had me at Fort Belvoir, Virginia, pushing officer candidates around that were going to go to Vietnam.
Sound like a fun job.
It was kind of a masochistic job,
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I would do different today, but
at
that time was like, I wanted them to be prepared.
Right.
So I mustered out of Fort Belvoir, Virginia, and came home, and I filed for an apprenticeship at the Long Beach Naval Shipyard, and so I worked with the Navy for the next 40 years. So after 40 years, I retired with 42 years service with the Navy.
Really? So you were a civilian employee, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you worked on the docks?
I started as an apprentice electrician on the ships, and then became a quality assurance officer, and then moved to San Diego and became part of the supervisor shipbuilding, and we would refurbish and fix the ships. And then probably 1985, I moved over to the Naval Facilities Engineering Command, and I became the contracting officer in charge of the energy projects for the West Coast.
Oh, sounds like a pretty prestigious job.
I got to do some amazing things. I got a presidential award and got to shake the hands of Vice President Cheney, because it was at the time when the anthrax hit, and the president was not available.
Sometimes Cheney didn't have a shotgun, did he?
No, Cheney just had some really nice shoes.
Okay. Anything else you want to add about your time in the service, Ed?
It made me who I am today.
It's what?
It made me who I am today. I went to Vietnam as a scared little kid, and I was changed. And, and the changes weren't all good. I went through a period of drug addiction and I've got 27 years of being clean and sober. And
congratulations.
And some of that using drugs and alcohol had a lot to do with Vietnam.
Yep. Understand completely. Anything else you want to add, Ed?
No, I think I'm pretty much talked out. This was kind of a strange thing to do. I was just a scared kid in Vietnam.
Correct. I understand. Say, Ed, I want to thank you for doing this interview, and I want to sincerely thank you for your service. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much.